when we create our stories, especially about super polemic topics, Israel, Gaza,
Yep.
we are first, we're looking at all of the stories and we're using a lot of enrichments in order to classify where they're coming from and whether or not to use them when we're interpolating for what has actually occurred. So we'll look at Israel, Gaza. Let's say there was yet another airstrike on yet another hospital, and we want to know, what really happened? Was it civilians? Were there militants inside of it? Those are some of the questions that are always kind of contradicting between
Yeah.
different sources.
Yeah.
And so you can say, okay, well, here's a source from Israel, here's a source from Gaza, here's one from Egypt, here's one from Sweden, France, Italy, Spain, all of the above. And now you've got a bunch of competing perspectives, all talking about the same event, especially coming from different languages. And
Hmm.
now you can leverage the LLM's reasoning capacity at that point to find that central location that you talked about, right? Because now the goal is, what is central? What are the key alignments and what are the contradictions? The LLMs are extremely well prepared to answer those sorts of questions, to parse through 60 articles in 60 different languages in 60 different countries and
Yeah.
say, well, it looks like the alignment is the hospital was bombed. Okay, that's a fact. We've actually established that a hospital was bombed because both Gaza and
Hmm.
Israel have said it. And the
Hmm.
location appears to be a fact because there's no contradictions.
Hmm.
Everybody on all sides. But Israel says that militants existed inside of it and that there were tunnels, and Gaza says that there weren't. Okay, that's a contradiction. There is no way to know exactly who's on the right side, but you can relay the contradiction. And just by relaying the contradiction, you've already established some very important contextual information for any downstream interpretation of this information, whether it's a human or another LLM. That contextual information of this was contradicting allows you to then approach it with skepticism of, okay, we don't actually know. We know the facts of why Israel says it, and we know the facts of why Gaza says it. And if we use some deep research, we could potentially go research deeper into, well, they say that there are tunnels. Let's go look up news around tunnels around this hospital. Did we find a lot? Did we find any resources about, like, you can really dive deeper if you have that contradiction. And so